What's up, you guys? I'm Tony Metro. Today, I'm going to predict how many wins the New York Mets will have in 2021. So spring training is almost over and opening day is just 1 week away. We've seen a lot of good and a little bit of bad from this team, but today I'm going to tell you how many wins I think the New York Mets will win this season. And before I get started, as usual, if you like this video and want to see more baseball content, be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, then tell me why you hate me. I don't have to be liked. I don't need to be liked. I must be liked. So, with Steve Cohen entering his first year as owner of the New York Mets, the Mets have high expectations entering 2021. Let's begin with the starting rotation. Jacob deGrom, the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. I don't want to hear a word about it, ESPN. You're just simply wrong. Barring any kind of injury, deGrom is good to give the Mets 200 innings of 2 sub-ERA ball. And in my opinion, he'll be competing for his third NL Cy Young title this year. In the number 2 spot in the rotation, the Mets have Marcus Stroman. Stroman re-signed with the Mets on his qualifying offer at $18.1 million for 2021. Stroman sat out of 2020 citing COVID as his reasoning. But throughout his career, Stroman has performed as a number 2 and at times even as a number 1 in a rotation. In the number 3 spot, the Mets have Taijuan Walker. Walker signed with the Mets this offseason for a 2-year deal with a player option for the third. A once highly touted prospect, Walker has not yet put it all together but has shown flashes of his potential. Just announced today, David Peterson will take the 4th spot in the starting rotation. Peterson, a former first-round pick in 2016 by the Mets, showed some promise in his rookie year in 2020. And the 5th spot in the rotation will go to left-handed pitcher Joey Lucchesi. Lucchesi was acquired by the Mets in a trade with the San Diego Padres this offseason. Lucchesi has had an up-and-down career but has shown to be an effective starting pitcher in an MLB rotation. The Mets also have starting pitching options in Jordan Yamamoto and Corey Oswalt, while Noah Syndergaard and Carlos Carrasco recover from their injuries. I like this starting rotation from the Mets, and I think it's only going to get stronger as Syndergaard and Carrasco eventually return. Turning it over to the position players, the Mets have Brandon Nimmo in center field. Now, Nimmo came into this offseason with some questions about his center field defense, but his bat has never been an issue. Nimmo is one of the best offensive players in baseball, looking at his weighted runs created plus and OPS. The team has said that they plan to position Brandon Nimmo deeper in center field to help improve his defense. At shortstop, the Mets, of course, have newly acquired Francisco Lindor. The superstar shortstop is still waiting on an extension from the team, but should be the best shortstop in the National League East. In right field, the Mets have impending free agent Michael Conforto. Conforto had a career year in 2020 after a very successful 2019. Conforto hits to all fields for power and continues to be a plus defender in right field. At first base, the Mets have former Rookie of the Year Pete Alonso. Alonso had a down year in 2020, but still was on pace for 40 home runs. In left field, the Mets have Dom Smith. Smith, like Conforto, had a very impressive 2020. Smith was originally brought up as a first baseman, but in order to fit him into the lineup, the Mets have tried to push him out to left field. The results in left field have been mixed, but given how strong his bat is, the Mets continue to put him in the lineup. At second base, the Mets have former All-Star Jeff McNeil. McNeil is one of the best hitters on this team and could easily compete for a National League batting title. He is susceptible to streaks, but should be in line for a .320 average. At third base, the Mets have J.D. Davis. J.D. Davis was acquired in the 2018 offseason from the Houston Astros. He had a tremendous second half in 2019, which almost propelled them to a wild card that year. And at catcher, the Mets have newly acquired James McCann. McCann signed a 4-year, $40 million deal with the Mets in the 2020 offseason. This coming after his time with the White Sox, in which he greatly improved his defense and framing behind the plate. In addition, he also made great strides at the plate, hitting for average and for power. Looking at the bench, the backup catcher should be Tomas Nido. Nido has shown just enough to make it at the major league level. He's a solid defender, though he probably won't hit over 250. The Mets also signed Jonathan Villar. Villar has been a jack of all trades throughout his career, playing multiple positions in the field. Kevin Pillar signed with the Mets and should be the team's 4th outfielder. Even though he's not quite the defensive whiz in center field that he used to be, Kevin Pillar should still be a great defensive outfielder in both left and right field for this team. And speaking of backup outfielders, the Mets also signed Albert Almora Jr. to a minor league contract this offseason. Almora has had a tremendous spring for the Mets, and he's my vote to make the last roster roster spot on this team. Almora, along with Kevin Pillar, could prove to be important defensive substitutions for this team late in games. And the last position player spot goes to infielder Luis Guillorme. Guillorme has become spring training folklore with his bat catch 2 years ago and 22 pitch at bat this year against Jordan Hicks. But in addition to that, he plays tremendous defense and puts up great at bats every time he steps to the plate. Overall, the weakest spot of this team to me is the bullpen. So the Mets are really going to miss Seth Lugo. He's by far the best relief option that they have in that bullpen. He'll be recovering from surgery he just had on his arm earlier this spring training, so hopefully best case scenario, they'll get him back before the end of May. But until then, the Mets are going to have to rely on a few different names, including Edwin Diaz, Yuris Familia, and Dellin Betances. Now, I don't know about you, but when I even say those names, I'm getting heart palpitations already. These three guys are the biggest wild cards of this team. If they perform well, the Mets could have a really good season. But if they falter, this could be a disastrous bullpen. The Mets also brought in Trevor May and Aaron Loup this offseason, who were very successful in their previous homes with Minnesota and Tampa Bay. The Mets will also be bringing back Miguel Castro, who they acquired at the trade deadline last offseason from the Baltimore Orioles. Castro has a four-seam fastball that can get as high as 99 miles per hour and a nasty sinker. But the question is, can he control it and throw it for strikes? If he can, he's still young enough that he could put it all together and become a very effective reliever. But if he struggles to throw strikes like he did last year with the Mets and in his previous tenure with the Baltimore Orioles, it could be a huge issue for him. And with the injury to Drew Smith, it looks like Jacob Barnes has secured a spot in this bullpen. And last, and probably least, Robert Gsellman. Bobby, what can you say about this man? This guy is like a cat. He has 9 lives. No matter how many years this guy's been terrible, he continues to make this team's roster. I cannot understand for the life of me why the Mets have not gone out and signed Shane Green. Until the Mets decide they can finally cut the cord on this guy, we're gonna have to watch him, hopefully only in mop-up duties. Overall, I like this team. I think that Sandy Alderson and Steve Cohen have built a strong 40-man roster. I think the starting rotation has great depth, and I think the lineup is one of the best in Major League Baseball. However, the bullpen still worries me, and the defense on this team could still be an issue. In my opinion, the Braves are still the better team in the National League East. So, for those reasons, I'm going to predict that the Mets will win 90 games in 2021. And in any ordinary season, that's a playoff team. But the Mets do face some fierce competition in the National League. To begin, the National League East is probably the best division in Major League Baseball. The Braves, like I mentioned, are probably the favorites to win the division. The Nationals are only 2 years removed from their World Series title. The Phillies have Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, and a rotation of Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. And the Marlins are an up-and-coming team. Out west, the Dodgers are the favorite to win their division. But the Padres could push them for that, and if not, are almost certain to win one of the wildcard spots. In addition, the Mets will be playing the American League East this year, meaning they'll play at least 6 games against the New York Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays, and Tampa Bay Rays. That being said, I still think this team wins 90 games and makes the playoffs in 2021. So, what do you guys think? Is my prediction of 90 wins too high or too low for the New York Mets this year? Will the Mets make the playoffs in 2021? And what part of this Mets team do you believe is the strongest? I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I have been your host, Tony Metro.